colder today. It's only the, I don't know, what is it, third week of October, and it suddenly got colder. But because of the cold, I was thinking about what is my favourite place in the whole world, or one of my favourite places in the whole world, which is Scotland. So one of the first times I went to Scotland was with a lovely man called Hamish Wilson of the TV at Smokery fame. He's very sadly no longer with us. First time I fished was actually on it's a little syndicate beat on Merton on the Tweed. He took me there salmon fishing to show me how the real Scottish boys salmon fished. And of course, he stuck me in the middle of the river. I mean, literally up to my whatnots. Well, up to here, above my whatnots, in the river. Gave me what appeared to be a tank aerial of a rod with two Wetzel 2 lines joined together, which are really sunk, heavy sinking lines, but two of them together, and what appeared to be a 3-inch copper tube, and just told me to cast away while him and Ron Holloway were sat on the bank. So there I was, up to my whatnots in water. It took about 25 roll casts to get this thing on the top of the water, and then fire it up in front of you, and then behind, and then in front again. And this 3-inch copper tube was going past my ear like an Exocet missile. It was just terrifying. And of course, it was pretty much for setup by Hamish and Ron, who sat on the bank laughing. Anyway, so very early in my career, it made me realise, in my salmon fishing career, and in fact in my trout fishing career, that I'm going to fish the way that I want to fish, not because that's the way to do it. It was the most unenjoyable half an hour of my life in a river, and I want to catch fish on my terms, doing it the way I want to do. And ever since my salmon fishing, I've usually fished a full floating line with relatively small flies. It's just the way I love to fish, whatever Hamish told me. And it's kind of the same with trout. And there's much easier ways to catch trout than fishing an upstream dry fly. But that's what I love to do. Now there's the argument's been going on for hundreds of years about whether it's Skews or Hawford, wet fly or dry fly, nymphs or whatever, which is absolutely fine. But for me personally, and I'm not judging anybody else, I love an upstream dry fly. I want to see what the fish is taking, and I want to imitate that, and that's how I love to catch a trout. So for me, that's all the flies I've ever got for trout fishing on the test. And all the people I look after, that's all I ever use, or use for them. And there's not that many there. Rather like my salmon flies, I've probably got half a dozen salmon flies, and that's it. Much to the amusement of my salmon fishing mates. But there we go. Of the dry flies, that's it. That's called a Greenwell's Glory. I'm not sure on the size of these things. I think that's an 18. It could be a 20, but I think it's an 18. And it's an imitation of a little tiny olive. It's a very, very famous test fly, and it's pretty much all I use if there's rising fish. Now there's much easier ways of catching these trout, whether it be a nymph or a much bigger fly, but for me personally, that's it. Little tiny dry fly. If that doesn't work, which it always does, a caperer. Little bit bigger, but same. The caperer looks like almost like a little wasp. It's got a hoop round it. But again, it's just an olive. So that's how I like to fish, and that's so important. Do what you want to do, how you feel comfortable. Don't judge other people how they do it, whether they spin or worm or shrimp for salmon, which takes amazing skill. But it's not my game. I like to fly fish, and it's the same with the trout fishing. I like to try and imitate what the fish are taking. So there you go. So here I am, sat in my shed. I've never ever felt so much like Jack Hargreaves in all my life. But there we go. What a lovely man he was.